77. She is from DR Milan, and she is part of the equity game competition. And over to you, Monique. Just welcome.
Hello, everyone. My team consists of myself and my two brothers, and we've been playing this is our first year playing this game, and it's been fun so far.
Thank you very much, Monique. So the next participant and winner that we have today, that is Nicholas Bowers, and he is part of the Prophets of Profit from Redham House in Durbanville. So welcome to you, Nicholas.
Thanks, Ralph. It's a pleasure to be here. So my team consists of myself and three of my friends from school. And we are all in grade 11. This is our second year in the investment challenge, and we hope to improve our positions from last year.
Great. Thank you for that, Nicholas. I would like to first emphasize how well you guys have done. It's been a challenging time, I'm sure, out for all of you out in the markets and you guys that are playing this competition. I would like to state up front, before we start getting into the details of performance and shares and discussing that you do understand that this is about the investment challenge game. It's a game only, and therefore everyone that's viewing this does understand that we are discussing the shares specifically for the game, and none of this is advice, whether it's from myself or our two guests that are joining us today. So please understand, this is for the game only. Please don't go and try any of these shares or trades out there in the real market. This is just for our competition only. And number two, which is quite interesting, is that our two guests are sitting at home. They're not at school, even though they're looking good in their uniforms. So yeah, we're gonna just first talk about how well you guys have done. Number one is that, Monique, you guys got 13.36% for this month's competition. That's quite an achievement. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, considering that the markets if you go and actually check the market as a whole, how well it's done since the start, from the start of the competition, which was on the 9th of March, the markets has gone up until yesterday 4% up. So 4% compared to your 13% that you've done is very impressive. So congratulations on that one. And then to you, Nicholas, you've got is it 26% return in the last 1 month. So your team and you have been doing exceptionally well.
Yeah, it's roughly around there. Like, because yesterday we did see we got a ton of growth, and it was honestly pretty surprising, but it did help us, and it was very nice to see.
Fantastic. So, I mean, if I had to take you through some stats, just out of interest, if you had a look at the game, that basically in this period, in this month, is what being probably one of the most challenging periods that you've probably ever experienced. I'm sure, obviously, you guys have not been playing for many years, but in the markets itself, for example, on the 19th of March, we on the all share, we're down to 37,963 points. Roughly from the start of the game, it had dropped basically 22%, just over that short while from the 9th of March to the 19th of March. And now it's gone back up by 23% in the last couple of days. So it's extremely volatile, and I'm sure during this lockdown period, it's obviously been very challenging to actually deal with the markets. So how have you guys, Marika, I'll start with you. How have you been able to, even just how are you handling the lockdown itself?
I think with the lockdown, a lot of companies lost a lot of value on their shares. So a lot of companies would rise again. So it's a lot easier to play, would I say, because you can predict which companies will go back to their former values and which wouldn't. I would also say my strategies in this time. Okay. I would say my strategies in this time is to look at the news a lot, because when looking at the news, you can see which companies are putting in an effort for their shares to rise with this hard time.
Fantastic, Marique. And on a personal level, how are you and the family coping with lockdown? Are you guys, it's getting pretty tough, I'm sure, after a number of days. I don't know what day we are in, but how have you found it?
I found that I've been a lot of times I've been bored. I don't know what to do. But with this challenge, you can really do a lot, because you can research some stuff and you can look at some charts, and it could really take up some time and your boredom would be really gone, basically. And it's been fun spending time with the family, because you don't always get that opportunity.
Okay, great. Thank you, Monique. I would just like to welcome those that are still busy joining us. We are live today on our first Q&A of the Investment Challenge game, and it's fantastic for all of you that are currently busy joining us. So thank you very much for joining us. We're currently speaking to two of the winners of the high school competition of the JSE Investment Challenge. We've got Monique, as well as we've got Nicholas on today, and it's a pleasure to be able to be getting the inside detail into their teams and how they've been doing. So over to you, Nicholas. How have you been coping with the actual lockdown right now?
So in terms of the competition, the lockdown, as we all know, has led to a lot of share prices dropping drastically, as many non-essential companies have been forced to close their doors. But that's also an advantage, as now, since the share prices are low, you can buy now, and when this lockdown ends, hopefully, and this COVID-19 pandemic sorts itself out, the prices should rise, and that will lead to a lot of growth.
Fantastic, Nicholas. I'd just like to cross back to the studio while we take a few second break. We'll be back right shortly. Great. Thank you very much. For those of you that are still busy tuning in, we really welcome all of you and are excited to have you with us. For those of you who have just joined us, we are busy interviewing two of the winners from Speculator as well as the equity game. So there's two different types of games. We've got three actually in the school competition. Today we've got Nicholas, who is part of the Speculator game, and then we've got Monique, that's part of the equity competition. And so it's great to have you guys on there. I'd just like to go into, for you, Nicholas, how did you guys come up with that name of yours, of your team?
It's a funny story, actually. So last year when we first entered, we were kind of struggling with names, I would say. We couldn't really decide. And so I thought of just the name Profits of Profits, like almost the day before you had to register, and thought, you know what, it sounds cool and it fits. And so I suggested it to the rest of the members of my team. They all seemed to like it, and we stuck with it.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Nicholas. Yeah, so, I mean, and then to you, Monique, you guys have also got an interesting name there. Maybe you can tell us about yourselves.
Our name is literally our surname, and my brother was like, he's going to put in his favorite number, and that's his favorite number. So that's how we got our name.
Fantastic. There's some very unique names on the scoreboard. And for those of you that are actually just joining us, maybe you actually not even registered with the Investment Challenge yet, I'd like to encourage you, if you would like to participate in the competition, then you are welcome to go visit our website, which is schools.jsc.co.za. Where you can go and register a team. So you need to be in 4 in a team, for you to participate, it needs to be from the same school. So you need to be able to contact some of your current pupils that are actually on lockdown as well. And I'd highly encourage you to then get in touch with them. Go to the actual page, schools.jse.co.za, and then go and register your team. It's not too late. We would love to have you part of the competition. So if you go and register today, in fact, today is the start of a new month as far as the competition goes, and you can be one of the winners and be actually chatting to us next month. So so if you would like to register, it's not too late. Go and register on schools.jse.co.za. And we can have you and get into the game. You've got to obviously choose between 3 different games: income, equity, and speculator. Now I'm going to ask you, Monique, if you can just tell us, how do you find the equity game? What do you find unique about it, and how would you promote it to the learners?
I find that the game, it's really not difficult to play, because if you have the right amount of information, the internet's really wide. You can do anything, and you get amount of money. You get I think it's $1 million rand, and you get to play with it, and then you get to use 10% of that on each share you buy, and you have to have a certain number of cash in your account at each amount. So you have to really look at what you should buy and when you should sell.
Thank you, Monique. You're just breaking up there a little bit. Not a problem. Have we got you? So, Nick, okay. Yeah, and then maybe Nicholas, you can give us a little bit about how you're finding the speculator game. I know you play in all 3 games, but how do you find the actual speculator game?
Well, with speculator, I feel like it's probably one of the portfolio which is the most liberal, in the sense that you have the R1 million and you can spend it on whichever shares you feel like, and there's no minimum cash balance you need. The only restriction is that you need to have 10% of your portfolio. You can only have 10% of your portfolio in one share. So you can't just spend all your entire million on just one share. Now with speculator, the only only thing you need to win is growth. So I find that it's probably it's one of the more difficult ones, as there's less limits and there's more risk, obviously, because you don't have your top 40 shares, for example. But I also find it the most entertaining because of that risk.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. Yes, I can see a lot of people are busy joining, and I can see your comments. A lot of you interested in actually participating. Again, if you want to go and register, you can go click on the school's website, schools.jse.co.za. And what will happen is that you then would need to click on your school. You would need to make sure that you choose a team name, and then you would need to have your 3 other partners that you'd be working with from the same school. Can be any grade from the same school. So gather them together, and I would really encourage you to consider to actually go and register. You will be at the bottom of the page when you click on register. You'll be needing to choose between the 3 games: income, equity, and speculator. Maybe I can talk about the income as well quickly. The income game really is just about the top 40. So you've got the income game, which only deals with the top 40 companies. You've got the equity game, which is the top 160 companies. And then you've got the speculator, which is all plus minus 350 companies on the JSE. So you can see, if you're not sure, you've never really traded before, then you'd probably start with the income game. If you are familiar with the actual stock market, then you can play the equity game, which is up to 160 companies. And then what Nicholas is playing, for example, all 350 companies are there. So you've got a wide variety of choice. So I would like to maybe go into some questions for you, my panel, Nicholas and Monique. I'd like to ask first to you, Monique, how have you gone about choosing the companies that you are investing in currently?
First, I looked at the companies that was already in my profile, and I did some research on them and looked at their charts and decided how if I should sell or if I should buy more in a certain company. And after that, I watched news and looked at companies that was on the news and saw if they were going to get a rise in their share price or if maybe I should sell because of the news. Another thing I did is I really went to the in the website itself. It has the overview of the top like top shares for the day, and I went and looked at those shares. And I went and looked at those shares and done some research on them and decided whether I should buy some or whether I should sell some of mine. And that's how I decided on what I should do.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Maric. And then to you, Nicholas, what has been your team strategy as far as which companies to buy in the speculator competition?
So our strategy is similar to the one that we made use of last year, which got us into a top 5 position, which is purchasing shares which are linked to commodities, and especially commodities whose prices will be impacted from global events. For example, looking at the conflicts between the USA and Iran last year and how that impacted the gold price.
That's fantastic. That's pretty insightful. So, in other words, what you really are trying to do is maybe focus more on one specific sector, if that's what I understand. So, you're talking about commodities, your resources. So then I need to ask the burning question. Probably a lot of people would like to know is: were you able to buy Sasol at a nice cheap price?
We do have Sasol in our speculator game, yes, and we have seen outrageous growth in the past, I'd say this week especially, because we did feel like, okay, this oil war should end sometime soon, because they can't keep this going forever. Eventually someone will give, so Sasol should turn eventually, and it did.
Wow. So, I mean, since the start of this competition, Sasol has fallen about 19% up until today. It has had a major volatility. At one stage, it was down 74% down. From the 23rd of March, I think it is, just from then, if you bought it on that close up until now, it's rallied about 215% up. So sitting at around 68 Rand, that was as of yesterday's close. So it's amazing how much volatility is out there in the market in these challenging times. And obviously teams can take advantage of this, and clearly you guys have done that. I see some comments that are on our live feed there. One being, what products can the university competition participate in? From Daniel. Daniel, basically what happens is you can go ahead and buy warrants, single stock futures and equities on the market. So I do understand today we focused on the schools competition, but we're going to be interviewing the winners from next week for the university competition. So Daniel, yes, you can buy warrants, single stock futures and normal shares. And there was a question about, can you short the market? For the viewers that don't know what short means, it's really just basically taking a view that the market will actually fall and you'll profit from that. And yes, you can. You can use single stock futures or warrants in the competition to do that. With the school competition, for those that are tuned in from different schools that are playing that game, where you can actually take a view of basically using a warrant to gain should it actually fall in the market, should a company fall. The only game you can do that in the school competition is through the speculator game. So if you register onto what Nicholas is doing, you can go ahead and actually short the market using the speculator competition. But in the income game, in the equity game, we only are dealing with normal equities, normal shares, the normal brands that you would know, the Pick and Pays, the Sasols, the Vodacoms, the different big companies that you know. But if you're wanting to go and short the market, in the schools competition, it would be only in the speculator. Maybe Nicholas, I can ask you, have you guys tried to short the market at all, or are you sticking to the basics?
We're sticking to the basics currently, as it's only like our second year in this. So we feel like we're not I won't say confident, but comfortable in our knowledge of shorting the market, as you said, to be able to do it. So no, we've stuck with normal shares.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. Yes, and that's one of the keys, I think, is that to try and keep things simple. You don't have to go buy and try and understand all the different companies out there, and you don't have to participate in products that you don't understand. Starting off with the basics, starting off the companies, the brands that you know, is probably the best way to start. And as you gradually go year after year, you can then try out other different products. So, and I mean, look at Nicholas, who's come first in this month's competition in a speculator game, and didn't use any of those products like the warrants in order to actually short the market. He didn't need to do that. So yeah, great. I see some other comments. Can you buy commodities and forex? So you can buy companies that deal in commodities, but not specifically commodities itself. Or you could, for example, maybe buy new gold, but it's an ETF, but it tracks the gold price. But otherwise, technically, we're not offering that you can buy the actual commodities themselves. You'll be buying the companies, the mining companies that deal with the commodities. As far as forex goes, no, we don't currently have forex as one of the products. I know that some of you are out there that do it, but you can take the same principles of whatever you're doing, should you be participating in forex, and come and actually do it with the companies that are listed on the JSE. So yeah, I would like to just welcome those that are still just joining us. Welcome to the Investment Challenge. This is a live broadcast with two of our winners from the school competition. So thank you for joining us. Monique, I'd like to just maybe delve a little bit further into, do you guys, it's a family affair as far as your team goes. So who makes the decisions in the team? Obviously, it's a team effort. So could you maybe give us some insight into how you deal together as who decides on buying and who decides on selling?
I think we go on individually and look at what we want to buy and what we researched, and then we decide a team which we should do and which not. Sometimes it's into a fight. I mean, it's a family siblings fight, but in the end, it turns out fine, and we decide on. I mean, we end up here, so I think in the end we decided right.
Yeah, that's. It's always a challenge, and that's what the JSE really would like to do is bring that team effort together. Because at the end of the day, when you're dealing in corporate life, it's all about teamwork. It's all about working together in the corporate environment. And here you are learning it from a young age in the Investment Challenge, where you're going to have to deal with your colleagues and be able to decide: do we go for a certain share or don't we? Nicholas, how do you guys decide on the shares?
So we make use of a similar strategy wherein before the competition started, we came up with a list jointly of what shares we should buy in the beginning of the competition and what we shouldn't. Then now that we're in the competition, we will do research and check the news for the different companies and maybe find other opportunities for us to buy or sell in order to increase our growth. So it really is a team effort, as everyone contributes their own ideas and we all make a decision together on what to do.
Lovely, lovely. I see we've got some more questions here coming from our live feed. Keep them coming. Thank you so much for all the questions you have. If we aren't able to get to your questions now on the live feed, I can assure you I will make sure that I personally will get back to you on those questions, try and message you so that you get the information you're needing. I see some advice questions are coming through as far as which is the best companies to buy currently in the current markets. So maybe one of you guys would like to advise. I see, for example, asking about ABM Bev or British American Tobacco. Is that something on your horizon? Would you look at that, any of you?
Well,
I think we don't have any of those companies on our list. So we didn't look at those yet. And
yourself, Nicholas?
Yeah, same with us. We haven't really checked those companies as of recently. We did think about them in the beginning, but decided not to in the end.
Okay, and here's another question that's come through, is that how do you know when to buy and how do you know when to sell? So, well, in fact, yeah, let's maybe look at selling. How do you know when to sell? Do you sell after 5% profit, 10%, 20%? At what level do you decide to sell? Maybe Nicholas, I'll start with you.
So, with Speculator being I think it's the only one where growth is what matters to win. You don't need to sell out shares necessarily to earn an income in order to come in the top positions. All you need is for your portfolio to grow. So with our team, we tend to keep the shares we have and let them grow, because what we need is growth. The only time we would really sell a share is if the share price has dropped drastically for internal reasons to the company, that maybe they made a mistake and people don't like what they've done. But if it's just a daily downward cycle and just a downward cycle for people selling their shares, we keep it.
Sorry,
it will eventually turn.
Sorry, Nicholas, you're breaking up there.
Oh. Is it fine? Am I good? Hello?
Sorry, Nicholas.
Marinique, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
I guess since Ralph's disconnected, I'll try and carry on with what I was saying. So, back on my train of thought, I was talking about how we don't sell shares necessarily if it just goes down, say, by 2% or so in the day, as that's just normal trading, people selling high to get their money. And the day after, usually the prices will rise again because then people buy when it's low. So really, we just keep shares unless something drastically wrong happens. How about you?
We go about by looking at charts, and we look if something has fallen drastically, we would usually buy. But when it's at its highest point, almost higher than it was before, we would usually sell because it could have a chance of falling again. But I agree with you that you shouldn't sell in short term because sometimes it will go up later again.
There's also, like you said, with these, there's also fees that you have to take into account when selling, and that also could hinder your profits.
Yes, that's why I agree with you with like not selling right away, because the fees could really cost a lot when you're buying and selling each day. It could cause you to lose profit.
Do you have, say, a preferred sector which you like to buy companies in?
I don't think I have a preferred sector. We usually just look at the top companies which are doing good at the moment, and then we do research on which are looking to do do good in the long term, and then we would decide whether to buy or sell. We don't really have a preferred sector. Do you have a preferred sector?
Well, like Ralph said earlier, with Speculator, you have so many shares to choose from. So I feel like that you kind of need to focus on something and then choose shares within that sector. But it seems like we have to wrap it up at the moment. Unfortunately, we lost our host. I think he disconnected, which is very unfortunate. So I guess we will wrap it up, and we will see next. Obviously, Ralph said the university prize will be out next week. So, oh, he's back.
Yeah.
Maybe. Hey.
Yes, sorry about that, guys. So I hope you can all hear me. I just had a bit of technical issues there, but fantastic to be back online. So yeah, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. So thank you so much for keeping the fort going there. I'd just like to quickly ask you one important question I think really can help others out there that are actually working on it is, what other websites other than the JSE do you actually use to go and look for information? So do you have any of your favorite websites that you might want to just point out to those that are participating? I think, Nicholas, you can tell us a website you use.
So we make use of MoneyWeb. It's a South African website and gives news on like South African companies on the JSE and what's going on with certain companies, and it's very helpful.
Perfect. And to you, Marek, what website do you guys use?
We've used tradeview.com, and I've been liking it very much because it gives you news on the companies, it gives you charts about the companies, and it gives you more information about their financials, and it even gives you, if you want to, like, it gives you like advice if you should sell or if you should buy.
Fantastic. Yeah, there's so many websites out there that you can actually get this kind of information, and it's always nice to look for that information. So I just want to see some of the questions that are here coming through. Perfect. So one saying, should one be buying gold itself? Gold, for example, maybe, or buy Sibanye gold. Do any of you have that I know Nicholas talked about resources. Are you buying Savanya, Nicholas?
Not specifically Savannah, but we have purchased gold companies because of the issues in the world currently. And with gold being such a traditional safe haven, quote unquote, the gold companies do traditionally do well, and it has worked for us.
Fantastic. Monique, do you have any gold companies that you're currently holding?
We don't have any gold companies currently, but we are using other resources. Yes.
Fantastic. And somebody wanted to know what was the website that you mentioned earlier. Could you just repeat that website that you mentioned?
It was tradeview.com.
TradingView, is that where you look at all the different charts?
Yes, that is where I look at the charts and the news.
Fantastic. So for the listeners out there, that's tradingview.com. You can go and sign up for free and actually have a look at that website. It's got some lovely information. There's many of the top traders in South Africa, including some of our brokers that also post different information on that website. Some free tips for you out there. So that's the website you can go and have a look at. Yeah, so let's see any other questions here. Just trying to make sure. So maybe I can go on to another question that I personally have. I'm quite an avid book reader. Are there any books that you've come across on trading that you've read or you've looked at that you think is pretty useful for those that are starting out in this journey?
I'm currently, it's my first year competing, and I don't have much knowledge on the subject, and I haven't read a book yet. So I believe I don't need as much knowledge to do this, but you have the internet, and the internet could give you a lot of knowledge on the subject. So I don't have a book currently that I've read.
You, Nicholas, do you have any books at all?
No, we haven't made use of books. Like Marinette said, we made use of online resources and videos to kind of explain to us what is like trading and how does it work and what are the different, how can you do this?
Maybe it's me and my age giving it away. Basically, maybe I'm still old school, but I love different trading books. So yeah, I can understand from the Google generation that you guys would probably much easier just to jump online and check some tips and information. So that's great, man. And what would you, as maybe one thing that you could say that you actually learned out of this game, that's something that you can take away? Monique, I can start with you. What would you say you've taken away from this game?
I think the thing that I've learned most is that with risks comes reward. And that is something that I really learned in this game.
Okay. And yourself, Nicholas?
So as a team, from our experiences last year, we learned that you shouldn't get too panicky when share prices drop. If you have a strategy and it's been working for a long time, stick to your strategy. Only change if things aren't working. And even if you change your strategy, say like halfway through the game, you can still make it into a top 5 position, which is what we did in the end last year. Our strategy and speculator wasn't working. Then we were able to change it and eventually came in the top 5. But yes, knowing that why share prices move and how they move is crucial, I would say.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And then there's another question coming through here. I see it's Nick's asking basically your holdings available balance. Should we have a higher holdings amount or a lower available balance, or vice versa? So it's really, I think I can answer that question. It's about personal preference. How much do you want to be invested in the market? Do you want to you get given R1 million for this competition, and you can put no more than 10% in one company if you're playing the equity game or the speculator game. And so therefore, you've got to decide as to how much are you going to spend. Am I going to put all R1,000,000 into the market in the current environment? Am I going to take a big risk right now? Or, do I think it's a good time to put all my money in the market? Or you can reduce your holdings, or, put maybe 50%. So it's all about different strategies. I don't know, maybe I can hear from you, Monique, what amount, percentage, do you know, are you investing all R1,000,000 or?
We try to use as much as we could, but we like to have a little like a cushion. So if something falls, we don't have not too much, like not enough money. Like we like to have a little cushion of money, but we like to use a lot of it.
And yourself, Nicholas?
Oh, we've put everything into shares. All our money's been put into shares because if you think about it, because we want growth, if the money's not in shares, it won't grow. So we just feel like it's better to invest everything and hope for the best.
Okay, fantastic. And then maybe I can follow up on that question, Nicholas. When you say you put everything, we give you an allocated amount of 10% in one company? Are you using the full 10% in the individual companies, or are you using maybe, I know if it's or basically 5%, what is the amount per company do you guys go for?
We have the full 10% in 10 companies.
Wow. So that's obviously that's extremely risky, but at the end of the day, you are playing the game, and so therefore, you can't take that sort of risk. Okay, so your final thoughts, basically from the guests. Basically, what would you like to leave a message to those that are listening? A bit of encouragement to the teams that are participating. What could you encourage them with?
I would say, don't worry if you're coming into the game now. It's not too late. We only started about, I think it's a week and a half ago, and we did so good. So go for it and try this game.
And yourself, Nicholas?
I would say, even if your prices are low currently, you shouldn't give up, as there's always a chance for you to make a comeback and actually turn your portfolio around.
Fantastic. So you've been listening to the first show of Q&As, basically the winners of the JSE Investment Challenge for the high school competition. We want to thank you for joining us. We want to thank you for those of you that have been with us for the last 45 minutes. We really appreciate it. If you've got more questions, you can always email schools@jse.co.za. You can also just post it on Facebook, and we make sure that you get back to you. So I would like to encourage those that have just been listening and you're not participating to go to schools.jse.co.za, and you can go and register a team. All you need is another 3 members in your team. There must be 4 of you, and you can go and register today and participate. It's not too late. So thank you for joining us today, and all the best. And we look forward to hosting next month's competition. Once again, Nicholas and Mariek, well done for winning our first month's competition.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's all from us today, and stay safe.